Now, hi Emerald. My name is Ruben Peralta. I'm from Miami, but I was born and raised in Dominican Republic. I don't know how you've been there.
I'm so sorry.
I was born and raised in Dominican Republic, but I live in Miami.
Oh, that sounds incredibly nice.
It sounds warm because it's warm all the time.
Well, that sounds pretty good to me. It's very cold where I am.
Let's start because I love your film. Like I really did, and I was watching it with a couple of friends, and like we never expected what happened in one part specifically in the movie, and this part create a lot of conversation with my friends and I, and 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 honestly, I didn't know about the culture that we were living in, and actually, I read something that you like how the story how do you create the story because you went with some friends too and something came up like like I didn't know that we were living and like guys can do this stuff honestly, and to me it was a choker because many of my female friends they were saying yeah this is normal for us. So I just want to know how do you create this story? Like it was like you were listening, it was something that you lived, it was something that someone told you and you start creating this character, Casey, that it's so fascinating. And just tell me, how did you create Casey?
Thank you. Well, I mean, I think it's all of the above. As you experienced with your female friends,
Yeah.
it was just, and you can look at the news right now and see the same stories again and again and again.
Yeah.
It is just endemic. It's just completely, unfortunately, something that I think most people growing up had to deal with. And so, yeah, I guess I'd been thinking a lot about that and about how normalized some of this very abusive behavior had become. But really, for me, it just starts with a scene or a moment. That's usually how my ideas start, and then everything builds from there. And it was just, for this, it was just a drunk girl lying on the bed saying, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
As somebody undressed her, and then suddenly sitting up sober and saying, "What are you doing?" And that just, I think that's what that moment I kind of knew what the film was about, and I think who Cassie was too. She was obviously some kind of avenging angel who was putting herself in, I'd say, kind of considerable danger
But
to prove a
but
point.
it was also fascinating how do you tell the story because it's like a trauma that she's trying to I don't know to fix for herself, but also it's a very colorful film. Like it has a lot of colors and music and everything. It's like watching a dark, macabre musical about revenge, but it's not about revenge. Like because she's not looking for something because I don't know. This is my interpretation of the film. In what part of the creation of your idea as a film you decide to give these colors, this music, this life to this story because it's like opposite, like atmospheres that you create when you tell a story like this. You don't portray it in your mind a colorful story. You put colors in comedy and something nice, musicals like I don't know, Singing in the Rain, but like not in a
Oh,
story she's trying to fix herself and looking for a revenge.
oh, I'm so sorry. It's just saying my internet. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, good. Sorry, it just said my internet was unstable.
It's fine.
So I was worried that I'd paused. Absolutely. I think it's funny. I think part of it is just that because I spent such a long time writing it, and as I write, I visualize. It's so much of it is visual and musical for me that they were always intertwined. So it's difficult for me to know for sure kind of when that decision was made. Only that it always felt right, I think, and it just felt reflective of my life, and I think reflective of lots of people I know's life, which was that they often were only able to discuss really difficult things with humor. It's quite hard to communicate a lot of this stuff, and it's why you had that discussion with your female friends, but you hadn't had it before, maybe because we need to find a way to talk about this stuff, and it helps enormously if the way is, a movie that maybe feels like a romantic comedy or a horror or a thriller. Sometimes it's a lot more accessible, and it just, Cassie as a character is someone who hides in plain sight. She's an expert at hiding her trauma and appearing kind of innocuous, using all of the things that we take for granted and think of as silly, like hair and makeup and nails. And she uses those to transform herself or to sort of camouflage herself. So it felt completely natural that the film about her would also camouflage itself and be adept at sort of using our perceptions, I guess, as an audience.
And you as an actress, how was that process to create your first feature film? And also there's a nice sequence where you show one of my favorite movies, Night of the Hunter. And is that something has to do with Cassie as a character? Because I know that both characters are like Robert Mitchum character is way different than Cassie in terms of purpose. But in terms of like idea as a character, they look like the same because they want to do something. I don't want to say it with like that's my interpretation, but like they have kind of the same build up as a character, but not the same purpose. Is that you put this movie because like it's one of my favorites. So like I just want to know.
It's one of my favorites too. I just think it's just a masterpiece. Well, yeah, it's a really funny one. I think for me, the reason that it's in there is that, well, I think his character is a perfect example of the sort of thing we're talking about. Like the piece that we use in the movie is a speech where he's talking about, his absolute loathing and disgust of women. And he says, there are things you do hate, Lord. Perfume smelling things, lacy things with curly hair. And so much of this film, I think, is about that kind of hatred, that sort of disgust. You see it in the first moment of the film. You see the kind of disapproval and disgust sort of immediately turn into a sense of opportunity. And it's that kind of combination, I think, maybe of desire and loathing, which is so kind of so much part of Night of the Hunter and so much of the root of, our interactions with each other that have maybe become so toxic. And then I think the other thing about Night of the Hunter is it's an allegory. It's quite clearly an allegory, and it's, an unbelievably frightening and moving film, but it is not in any way designed to be. It's not a realistic. This is a movie that is entirely in a set. It's a movie that is static. It's beautifully crafted. It's strange. It's more like a nightmare. It's more like a dream. And I think that I felt like the sort of allegorical nature of that film was something that I really wanted to achieve with Promising Young Woman. Obviously, it's very, very, very amazing film though.
One of the things that really makes me happy about you and your film is like you were nominated with two other females directors, and along with David Fincher, one of my favorites, and Aaron Sorkin, a great filmmaker too. And it's kind of ironic that in the past years it was only 5 females nominated in 80 something years. I don't know how many years at the Golden Globe. And just in this year, we have 3 females nominated with amazing films. Like Nomadland, it was my favorite film from last year. And something that I really enjoy about 2020, about cinema, is the stories that we tell. Your story is as a lead female character. Nomadland is another female lead character. We have Black stories out there, like Regina King did Tell with One Night in Miami. and Judas and the Black Messiah. Like we have stories, we have really important stories to tell. How do you feel as an actress? Because you also are in the Crown, and the Crown, it was like nominated, and you guys won also the award. How does it feel being part of history? Because this is history, and this is a beautiful history, and I have a daughter, and this is something that will stay forever. And like if eventually she want to do movies, this is something that she's gonna have as a like to start from it, because it's possible. It's possible that we can make changes, telling great stories, not just filling up holes as a like for pleasing people. How do you feel as an actress, as a director, as a person, being part of this?
It just feels amazing, and I think, like, as you say, One Night in Miami and Nomadland are just such amazing, they're just so brilliant. And I think that it's so amazing to be part of this year. But my hope is also that it will just become so normal so quickly that it will cease to be something that is remarkable, because you just think of all of the movies that might have been made over the years that weren't made for all sorts of reasons. And that's just, I think it's just so wonderful that things have changed now. But it's just really important that we keep it up, that we just keep up the momentum. Because, as you say, I think we just all we're now looking for stories that just feel different to what we've seen and heard before. It's the thing that's so exciting about movies, is that you can just be catapulted into another world for a brief time. So it's just the more people that you get behind the camera, the more diversity, the more exciting it will be.
Emerald, thank you for your time. I know you make a really good effort. I love your film. Like, you gave me one of the best twist ending that I have feel in a very long time. I wasn't expecting that. I promise you. And I just wish you, like, you keep going, like telling your stories, being a great actress. And thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a lovely rest of your day in sunny Miami.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.